when a man spotted a tiny, shivering puppy alone on the side of the road. He couldn't leave it behind. He carried the lost pup home, thinking he had simply saved a stray. But the very next day, something happened that no one could have predicted, and it changed everything. The evening was quiet as Daniel walked home from work, his footsteps echoing softly against the pavement. For him, it was just another ordinary day, until a faint whimper made him stop in his tracks. He turned his head, scanning the roadside. At first, he thought it was just the wind brushing through the grass. But then, he heard it again, weak, trembling, almost desperate. Curiosity tugged at him, and he crouched low to peer into the shadows near the fence. There, curled into a trembling ball, was the smallest puppy he had ever seen. Its fur was matted, its ribs faintly visible beneath the skin. The pup's wide eyes glistened with fear as it tried to shrink further into the corner, too weak to run away. Daniel's heart clenched. He knew instantly he couldn't just walk past. Carefully, he extended his hand, his voice soft and steady. "Hey, little one, you're safe now." Daniel scooped the trembling bundle into his arms, feeling the rapid thump of a tiny heartbeat against his chest. The puppy was so light it barely seemed real, as though the cold evening breeze might carry it away if he let go. When he reached home, Daniel laid the pup gently on an old blanket near the couch. The puppy whimpered softly, its eyes darting nervously around the unfamiliar room. Daniel fetched a bowl of warm milk, holding it carefully as the puppy lapped in hesitant sips. Each swallow seemed to bring a little more life back into its frail body. As the night wore on, Daniel sat close by, stroking the pup's damp fur with slow, reassuring motions. Eventually, exhaustion overtook the little creature, and it curled against his leg, letting out the softest sigh. Daniel smiled, whispering, "You're safe now. No more cold nights for you." By morning, something had changed. The pup, though still fragile, wagged its tiny tail for the first time. It was as if a silent promise had been made between them. This was the start of something neither of them expected. The next morning, Daniel awoke to the soft tickle of fur against his arm. The tiny puppy had climbed onto the couch during the night and pressed itself firmly against him, as though afraid to let go. Its dark eyes followed his every movement, wide and unblinking. As if trying to memorize him. As Daniel moved about the house, the pup trailed close behind, its little paws tapping against the floor in uneven rhythm. When he stopped, it stopped. When he sat, it sat. It was more than simple attachment. It felt like the puppy had chosen him, clinging as though its life depended on it. What startled Daniel most was the pup's focus. Whenever he turned his head, those small eyes locked on his face, studying him with uncanny intensity. At times, the puppy would tilt its head, almost as though it understood more than a dog should. Daniel chuckled uneasily. "You're not just any puppy, are you?" he murmured. Deep down, he sensed this little one had entered his life for a reason yet to be revealed. Over the next few days, Daniel noticed more peculiar behavior. The puppy refused to leave his side, no matter the time of day. When Daniel stepped outside, the pup barked frantically at shadows along the fence line, its tiny body trembling but its stance protective. At night, things grew stranger. The puppy would scratch at the front door, whining with urgency, then rush back to Daniel's side as though warning him not to ignore it. Sometimes it sat stiffly, ears perked, staring into the darkness with a low growl that sent chills crawling up Daniel's spine. He tried to dismiss it as nervousness from being abandoned. But the feeling gnawed at him. This wasn't ordinary fear. It was awareness. The puppy wasn't just reacting to noises. It seemed to sense something Daniel could not point. One evening, as the pup pawed at the floor near the kitchen, barking sharply, Daniel knelt beside it. "What are you trying to tell me?" he whispered. The puppy's eyes met his, burning with urgency. Whatever it wasn't done revealing its secret. That night, the puppy's restlessness grew unbearable. It darted between the front door and the kitchen, barking sharply, its paws scratching at the floorboards. Daniel sighed, rubbing his temples, but something in the pup's desperate eyes made him follow. The little dog pawed at a loose corner of the kitchen floor, whining until Daniel crouched down. With a hesitant tug, he pried up the warped board and froze. Beneath it lay a small metal box, rusted with age but locked tight. His pulse quickened as he lifted it into the light. The puppy barked again, tail wagging furiously as if urging him on. With trembling fingers, Daniel forced the lock open. Inside, he found stacks of faded bills, old photographs, and a worn leather journal. His heart raced as he flipped through the pages. Entries describing shady dealings, names he recognized from town, and secrets long buried. Daniel leaned back, stunned. The puppy hadn't led him to food or shelter. It had uncovered a hidden truth, one that tied directly to his own community, and perhaps to danger far greater than he imagined. Daniel barely slept that night, the journal's revelations burning in his mind. He locked the box away, unsure of what to do next. But just as dawn broke, the puppy's frantic barking jolted him awake. Its paws clawed at the bedroom door, its cries sharp and urgent. Confused, Daniel hurried downstairs and stopped cold. A faint hiss filled the kitchen, the acrid scent of gas heavy in the air. His eyes darted to the stove, where a burner knob had somehow been left slightly open. One spark, one careless match, and the whole house could have gone up in flames. The puppy barked louder, circling Daniel's legs, forcing him toward the door. He quickly grabbed the pup, rushed outside, and dialed emergency services. Moments later, fire crews confirmed it. Gas had been leaking through the night. Another hour, and it might have been too late. Daniel's hands shook as he hugged the trembling puppy close. This wasn't luck. The tiny creature he had rescued had just saved his life. And deep down, Daniel knew it was no coincidence they had found each other. Later that day, firefighters and police officers combed through Daniel's home. The gas leak was confirmed, just minutes away from sparking disaster. But when Daniel showed them the metal box the puppy had uncovered, their expressions grew even more serious. The journal's entries matched long unsolved investigations in the area, corruption, stolen funds, and names of people who had slipped through the cracks of justice. The officers exchanged looks, their voices hushed as they logged the evidence. One detective finally turned to Daniel. If your dog hadn't led you here, this would have remained buried. And that gas leak? You might not be standing here. Daniel looked down at the little puppy sitting proudly at his feet, tail thumping against the floor. Emotion swelled in his chest. This wasn't just a lost pup. This was fate. In that moment, Daniel understood. The puppy hadn't only needed saving. It had come into his life for a reason. Not just to find safety, but to give him a second chance too. That evening, Daniel sat on his porch with the puppy curled in his lap. The sky blazed with shades of pink and gold, but his thoughts lingered on how quickly life had changed. Just a day ago, he was an ordinary man walking home. Now he was holding the very reason he was alive. That he stroked the pup's soft fur, feeling the steady rhythm of its tiny heartbeat. You weren't lost, he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. You were meant to find me. News spread quickly through the small town about the gas leak, the hidden journal, and the unbelievable role of a stray puppy. Neighbors stopped by to see the little hero, some shaking their heads in disbelief, others smiling through tears. Daniel looked down at his new companion, who gazed back with trusting eyes. This was no ordinary rescue. It was destiny, two lives crossing paths at just the right moment. And as the puppy drifted to sleep in his arms, Daniel knew he hadn't just saved a life. He had been saved himself.